Our next presentation is from Christine Dimitros DTM, who is actually a past district director. Christine is an incredibly dedicated Toastmasters and has been in Toastmasters for 14 years, I believe. She has 2007 to, I hope my calculations were correct. Christine is very knowledgeable in her role as finance manager. She is taking on the role for the second year, so I'm sure she did a fabulous handover from herself to herself. I hope that means she's ambidextrous, that she didn't hand over from her right hand to her left hand when only her right hand is good at acting. But I'm sure the left hand will hand back to the right hand if need be. So please join me in welcoming Christine, who is going to talk to you today about the budget and your expenses and how to make claims. It's really important. This is one to really keep note on because it's really frustrating if you end up having to spend money and don't get it back from the district. Please join me in welcoming Christine Dimitros.
Thank you, Danielle. Now I have a presentation that I need to share. So hopefully I'm going to get this right. Yeah. And can you see just?
Yes.
Yeah, but you can see that next slide.
No, we can't. We can't see the next slide.
Oh,
only you can see the next slide.
And I didn't want you guys to see that. All right, let's go. I'm presenting today on your budget, your expenses. And of course, Danielle's just introduced myself as Christine Dimitros, the D73 Finance Manager. It's not working. All right. Today, I'd like to go through the area and division budgets, claims for reimbursement, and concur the finance system that we should be implementing this year. At the moment, we're still on the manual system that we've had over the past years. So after this meeting, we'll be having a special DEC meeting to decide whether the district will be having online or in-person contests beyond the club level. Therefore, today, I will be providing the decision on contest budgets for both scenarios. And then obviously, once that decision's made this afternoon, we'll move to the budget for that scenario. The district will provide first place trophies for area contests and first, second, third place trophies for division contests. This is purchased at the district level and will be done regardless of the special DEC meeting decision. Previously, trophies were part of the area division contest budget, and it was left to the AD or the division director to purchase the trophies. You can imagine the variety of different trophies that you could win in those contests. And there were contests that didn't even have trophies. That's why the district took over that responsibility for the purchase of trophies, ensuring consistency, branding remains accurate, and that a trophy is produced or provided. Their overall contest budget has been drastically reduced by Toastmasters International from previous years, of which the district has been forced to cut costs to ensure that the district budget meets policy and that Toastmasters International will approve the budget. We are reminded at this point that all district funds are Toastmasters International funds and that they are used to fulfill Toastmasters International's mission. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. And the district mission, we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. With online contests, there is no budget required as there is no additional costs associated with holding contests online. Therefore, the only cost for online contests is the trophies. With in-person contests, the district has decided that there will be a silent budget. The idea of a silent budget is that funds will be provided on a needs basis with prior approval required before incurring the costs. Area directors will need to put forward their request to the division director, who will in turn put forward to the program quality director, NAMREADER, and NAMREADER will bring that request to the leadership team, who will make the final decision on approval. The district is highly promoting the area and division contests to take on the model of other districts who are not provided any district funds. This model is partly what our district has been doing in the past, where not all areas and divisions seek reimbursements for their contests. One of the clubs within the area or division asked to host the contest, which covers the cost of the venue. Guests attending are asked to bring a plate, which covers the food. That can be savoury or sweet and can be worked out. One of the Toastmasters within the club, area or division will print off the required paperwork and certificates. It is a community that comes together to put on the area or the division contest. There are also venues that will allow you to hold the contest if your guests purchase meals. This is a great option. Just make sure that your guests are aware of this. You cannot charge attendance at a contest, yet you can charge for provision of food. This is another option where you can charge a fee for those who would like to purchase, say, an afternoon tea or a lunch package. It is up to you as you are planning your contests. Get together at your area council meeting for area contests and division council meeting for division contests. You might be quietly surprised at how much a club will pitch in to support the area and the division contests. When I arranged my M22 area contest back in 2014, I think it was 2014, I wanted to do everything myself with my touch of perfection. I got the venue donated by one of the clubs, but it was their workplace. It wasn't where their club met, which was ideal. It was fantastic. I had my contests over 2 nights, a week apart. And for the first contest, I did all the baking, which went down like a treat. Then one of my club members offered to provide the food for the second night contest. My only expense that I claimed that year was the trophies, which are now provided by the district. Be creative, guys, and don't be afraid to ask your clubs for help. Now, the district understands that there may be instances where the clubs in the area and division won't be able to come to the party, and that is where you can put forward your requests for the necessary funds. They have to be reasonable. We know the costs involved in a venue, in food that's provided. So be mindful of those sort of things if you have to go down this path. All we ask is that you do try to source a venue, food and printing through your clubs in the first instance. Although we would like you to exhaust all avenues, please don't feel that you cannot come to the district for assistance, as we are here to support you where we can. And there will be a provisional section in the budget for this, these items, but it won't be as much as what we can have done in the past, because that reduction of budget percentage against contests. Okay. Moving on to club visits. Some areas may need to travel over 100 kilometres round trip to conduct their club visits. Where it is established that you will need to travel over 100 kilometres, you are eligible to claim those kilometres travelled at the measly rate of 13 cents per kilometre. This has been set by Toastmasters International. It's nowhere near the 76 cents per kilometre at the tax office in Victoria. The supporting documentation needs to be provided with that claim, and that is a PDF copy of the Google Maps. In some instances, there may also be the opportunity to include a night's accommodation, especially where it is necessary to attend 2 club meetings on consecutive nights. I know that happens in Tasmania because the 2 clubs are on the other side of the state. But that might be a situation that happens in South Australia or even in Northern Division, Bass Division. It just needs to be talked through and decided if that's what is necessary. If your club visits require travel over 100 kilometres, and that's a round trip, this needs to be discussed with the division director and reported to the club growth director, Danny Streets, to ensure we capture those funds projection in the budget. Unfortunately, officiating at contests is not supported with funding for travel over 100 kilometres. If you accept to officiate at a contest which is over 100 kilometres, you are doing it for your love of Toastmasters. Okay. Club officer training. Club officer training on the first round will be held online. That's already been decided. However, it is anticipated that club officer training will be in person for the second round. Again, we have adopted the idea of a silent budget for in-person COT. Please try to enlist the assistance of the clubs within the areas and the division to source the venue, food, and any printing required. Claiming for reimbursement, it's still being done the manual way, and under the D73 website, that's the resource which will take you straight to the reimbursement section on the website. And the form hasn't been updated yet, but it will be updated to reflect Carl as the district director and Namrita as program quality director, and I'm still on there as finance manager. So that's where you would download the claim, you complete the form, attach PDF receipts, and you submit your claim with the receipts. The process is all on there. The claim form will be updated, as I said, but when completing the form, please make sure you enter your bank details clearly and accurately. We have had inaccurate details for banking and they don't go where they're supposed to go. Hopefully they're not going to go into someone else's account, but they generally just bounce, and then we have to go back and establish what the accurate number is. Also, be careful with BSB, numbers that begin with 0. If you put 0 preceding numbers in a Excel field, it doesn't recognise that preceding 0, and you need to put an apostrophe just before the 0 for the Excel to recognise it. But I'm aware of that, and if I see 5 numbers, I just assume there's a 0 in front and hope that you didn't have a keying error by leaving out a digit in your BSB. But please try to use that apostrophe. You are required to enter 1 line for every receipt and allow the Excel form to calculate the total. For this purpose, do not convert the Excel form to PDF. Any claims forms submitted as a PDF will be returned. There have been instances where all receipts were entered on the one line and they didn't add up. Please don't pay for personal items along with items you are claiming. Ask for a separate receipt for the ones that you're claiming. That way, there will be no calculation errors. We do ask for you to use PDF copies of the receipt, which you can actually attach to the second tab of that claim form if you prefer. Otherwise, just include it in the same email as the claim form. They need to be kept together for auditing purposes. For those who don't think they have access to a scanner to create a PDF, there is a scanner feature in the Notes app on a smartphone. Everyone has a smartphone except for Carl. Even if you don't have a smartphone, everyone knows someone who does, and they can scan the receipt for you. Please don't send a JPEG or a photo. They take too much room and they're not that easy to see. And please make sure, and that's for scanning as well, please make sure that your receipt is the right way up so that I don't have to go like this to read it. It's happened. All right. Okay. Also, it is best to scan receipts as soon as possible as they fade over time and become impossible to read. And we have received many of those. So please scan them, even if you're not going to put your claim in straight away, just scan your receipts. Now, I've only spoken today about area directors and division director budget items. Obviously, there are other roles that will require purchases and reimbursements. Today in our breakout room, we recognise that the speechcraft coordinators require an online speechcraft coordinator kit, which we have added to the budget items list. So if you're in a leadership role and you recognise that there are purchases that would help you in your role, please ensure you speak with the TRIO member that supports your role, and the district will be able to add your budget items if they are deemed appropriate. Just quickly on the approval process for reimbursements, they come to the finance manager in the first instance, where I code the expense against the budget. If it's in the budget, and it should be. The payment is entered into the bank as a pending payment, and it needs the district director to Carl then to go in and approve that final payment. Once that's done, I go in and download the final receipt and I send that out as a remittance to the person who has claimed. The payment is subsequently entered into Intact, which is the Toastmasters International Finance System. Program Quality Director Nam Rita is also a signatory on the bank accounts to step in where Carl or myself make a claim, or where one of us is not available when processing a claim. Now, concur is, oh, what happened? Oh, there it is. I went past it. Concur will replace the manual reimbursement process that I've just outlined. When this happens, it will be updated on the District 73 website and future training will be provided. Concur is an electronic platform, automated and simplified accounts payable function. Our district was to move to Concur in the 2020-2021 year, yet it did not happen. Apparently, all districts will move to Concur by the end of this 2021-2022 year. Concur is where, instead of completing a reimbursement claim form, you will enter the claim directly into Concur, attaching the receipt. It would then come to me as finance manager to approve the claim to be paid, And once the second approval by the district director is made, the funds will come directly from the district reserve, that's in the US, and that will go straight into that person's account because their details will be on their application. That's my presentation. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, I have one from me.
Yes.
I know we showed all the budgets for the area directors, club office training. I'm not sure about what is the recent ones. Any budget for starting new club in regards to?
There is a budget for starting new clubs, and that comes under Danny Streets.
Okay, fine.
As club growth director. That's another, yeah, that's not something we would probably discuss today because it's
fine.
And I'm not sure if we've agreed on the actual funding available for starting of a new club, but if it's based on last year, I think it was $250, and that's by memory. Yeah, but there is an allocation for pre-chartered clubs and once they've chartered, because not all clubs get to the chartered stage, so there has to be an allocation for pre-charter as well.
So we'll discuss with Danny when she presents it. Thank you.
Yes, I'm not sure when that will be. I don't know if it's in this training this weekend because I'm not sure if we've decided on the budget for that yet. Any other questions?
Just to jump in there, Christine, that would not be something presented in this session this time around. Once we have our budget to present at the September deck, is it? That's when it'll be, here's what's allocated and the deck members will be voting on it. So yes, there'll be support there around starting new clubs. Further information to be provided as and when needed, and as it's available.
Yes. We've just got into the new year and the budget has to be created, and that's why we're asking for the submissions for the budget now so that we can put them in.
Jan Hutton has a question.
Yeah, just popped into my head. As the division director in charge of Tassie, if I go to Tassie and I'd need to have accommodation because coming back, so like if I got the Spirit of Tasmania, that's going to be more than 13 cents a kilometre. So how is that sort of thing funded?
Oh, if that that would be a different cost. That would, and so what would you be coming? So you're saying you're coming to Victoria?
Oh, I'm in Victoria, and if I went down to Tassie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's another budget that would have to be looked at, and they're the things that doesn't come under kilometres, obviously, because you're not driving a car.
No,
and that's only if you're driving a car.
If I have my car on the Spirit, then I'm driving it in Tassie.
I see. I get you.
And the other thing I just thought of, if something happens with COVID, I'm stuck in Tassie. Would Toastmasters pay for my accommodation while I was stuck there?
$3,000 for 2 weeks.
I know. It's
these are the things that would have to be considered. I don't think that Toastmasters would have it in a budget for that. So
yeah.
And but you need to put forward those sort of things. The reason you're going, is it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I was just when I first took the job on, someone said, well, I was talking about that, and it'd be good to develop the community in Tassie as well, work with them.
Yeah.
But
So you would need to put forward what you're suggesting, any any expenses and the reasons for that expense. You
Yeah.
put that forward through to Namrita, because she looks after the division directors.
okay,
Yeah.
well, and it
Yeah, and it is something that we could discuss before we try to reimburse and plan around it and discuss what all things we'll have to consider. So
it's just the idea of, ooh, what if I got stuck there?
yeah, we'll have to consider all the risks
lots of-
that will entail the travel. Yeah.
on Zoom forever and ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I can tell you though, with Tassie, I went there before the lockdown. 2 days before the lockdown in Victoria, and I got into Tassie okay. So that's not the problem. The problem, there is no problem once you're there. You can come back. The problem will be if Tassie goes into lockdown because they've got cases, and that's not very likely. We get them before them.
Yeah, we do, because we've got the quarantine hotels. All right, well, that was just
Yeah, and I came back in the lockdown, and it's easier to get back than it was to get there.
yeah, because you might be covered in COVID.
Yeah, all they did was take our temperatures, and that was it. But if we were to go on the Thursday, we wouldn't have been allowed to go.
Too late.
Yeah.
All right, well, good to know. Thank you.
And I think that is the end of my session, because it is 1 minute to go.
Wow, we are doing so well with timing today. And you know, people give Christine a round of applause. People often joke that DTM stands for Don't Time Me, and the amount of DTMs we've had speak today that have stuck to time has been